What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I'm going to cover a little different kind of story. If you've been following my channel, you know that I look up to a few Twitter and YouTube personalities, in particular Ricky Berwick and Crip Daddy, Real Young Crip. In fact, I've had Crip on the podcast with Bering and Dankula and I, and maybe one day we'll have Ricky on. But the video games community is one that includes all sorts of people. Now, video game journalists at time used this to paint the entire gaming world in a bad light, but I prefer to focus on the positives. The reason I look up to these guys is because, with so many of us, getting no, real issues with our bodies, but still choosing to wreck them with fast food and everything else. These are two guys that were dealt a poor hand in life and have been turning that into a royal flush for some time, taking their bad luck and just owning it and living life to its fullest. Something to be respected, something to be modeled, I believe. But in knowing these two gentlemen, I've now discovered that there's in fact a victimhood stack within the disabled community. And a guy like Ricky, who seems to just own his situation, and also not take any flack, not take any offense on other people's behalf as a comedian, seems to be a target recently. And he sent me a video that was on Canadian television, so I had to translate it to normal speak. But after that, it seemed to imply that he was degrading himself. And then there was another guy, David R. Kuhn, who implied the same thing, but ended up sounding like a total tool. But let me get into the clips here.
Almost 3 million people subscribe to or follow Ricky Berwick online, but his brand of humor may not be for everyone.
What local household item might end your life tonight at 9?
When asked how it affects him, though, Berwick deflects.
I just don't think it's that important. I like to think of myself as normal.
See, this is exactly why you've got to love Ricky. I don't understand what people would not want this man held up in high regard as a role model for those who are dealing with physical ailments.
But that wild act may offend.
This is crippled news.
No! Not offense. It's literally the worst thing that anything can do or ever has done.
Mobility advocates say Berwick's shock value toes the line.
It's just sad that you have to degrade yourself in order to try and get ahead in life.
First of all, let's establish a fact. There is no line in comedy. The second you draw one, it's no longer pure, it's no longer comedy. Second of all, look, Edward, it looks like you've got a raw deal as well, but who are you to judge what somebody else chooses to do in their life? And honestly, if I had to pick who's happier, I think it's pretty easy to decide. And that's not all. I've seen a lot of people coming after Ricky in the recent history. I wonder if it has something to do with his success. And we had David Kuhn yesterday come out and say, society pays attention to the wrong things, and we all pay the price. Recently, local CTV station covered the story of Ricky Berwick, a local YouTube personality famous for his wild and sometimes very grotesque videos where he uses his physical disability for bizarre comedic relief. So? And let's be clear, just because you don't think something's funny doesn't make it not funny. Personally, as someone with a disability, I find his videos very crass and classness. To either each their own, but if it's to each their own, why are you writing this little whine piece? But I do think this is the wrong message, particularly that people with severe physical disabilities are relegated to obscurity. No, actually, I think the message that Ricky Berwick sends is one that even with severe physical disabilities, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be successful. You can make your own money. You don't have to be a financial burden on your family. You don't have to let your disability ruin your life. You don't have to let the disability take your sense of humor. And as young Crip puts it,
because he's right. Look at you right now, taking it too far again. Laughing? Really? Really? What do you have to laugh about? You're disabled. Okay? I don't think you realize that. And you have a following? You had to be serious, man. When you're crippled, you had to be serious. All the time, 100%, no ands, ifs, or buts. Because if you're not living up to a standard that somebody else made out for you, oh, man.
And now he's going to continue to pretend that he's not just jealous, as it appears to me anyway, by saying, and I'm going to talk about this next subject without appearing as though I have sour grapes. When I ran for school board last fall, I sent a press release to every local media outlet. In this release, I highlighted one of the main reasons I was running was to highlight and bring awareness to the accessibility issues pertaining to our local education system and public boards specifically. I felt the parents as well as students deserve to have somebody on their school board who understood and knew what it was like to go through things like that. No one at any level of government in Kitchener and Waterloo region has a physical disability. You don't have to be exactly like the people you represent to be a good leader, advocate, or politician, but it would certainly help if you had a personal understanding of what your constituents deal with on a daily basis. And I feel like I could have helped the board. So it sounds like he's salty that he didn't win. I'm not sure. I tried and I wasn't successful. I don't blame anyone for my loss. Sounds like you do. Except maybe myself. I could have done better. And the 74% of voters in Kitchener who didn't bother voting at all. Wow, you only had a 26% turnout. Yikes. However, I look at the recent story about Ricky Berwick, who, by the way, has videos of himself sitting in the shower drinking his own bathwater. So? I mean, I don't understand. The same man and eating chocolate pudding with his mouth open. I have to wonder why this man's videos warrant so much attention and my press release got zero feedback from CBC. Maybe it's because you aren't entertaining. Maybe it's because it seems like you are a prude. Maybe it's because you are the type of person who blames everyone else for their failures. You sound exactly like you have sour grapes. You sound exactly like you're jealous that people are giving attention to Ricky Berwick. Maybe you should have reached out to Ricky and asked him to help spread awareness for your political run. In my opinion, I think drawing attention to the antics of Ricky Berwick, of the Ricky Berwicks of the world, let's be clear, there's only one Ricky. While ignoring those of us with disabilities who work hard to do more, be more, and get ahead, does a disservice to everyone. Ricky appears to be very smart, his content notwithstanding. Ooh, sick burn. It's unfortunate he can't use his celebrity to help people. Oh my God. He is helping people, you moron. He's helping people laugh. He's helping people cope. And whether you like it or not, he's an excellent role model for other people with physical disabilities.
At one point you state that you don't want to appear to have sour grapes, but then later on say, I think drawing attention to the antics of the Ricky Berwicks of the world, while ignoring those of us with disabilities who work hard to do more, be more, and get ahead, does a disservice to everyone. Now, if that doesn't seem like a farm of sour grapes, I don't know what is. Because what that says to me is, hey, I take myself very serious, and I'm trying to do better, and Ricky isn't. And he's getting more attention than me, and I think that's and that's dumb. Just because you built a standard to how you think disabled people need to act doesn't mean that that is everyone's standard.
And I'll kind of leave it with this final thought. And by the way, that is Real Young Crip on Twitter. You should definitely follow him, as well as Ricky. And there's a reason I choose to use their clips. It's because it's obviously just more powerful, and I'm exceedingly lazy, and they're just better at talking than I am. I consider myself friendly with both of these gentlemen, and it bothers me when people target my friends. Now, I think that both Ricky and Crip are better at handling this than me because their words carry just so much more weight. And it's the reason I look up to both of these guys. And I mentioned earlier in the video that, hey, Ricky's, and I think Crip too, these guys are great role models for other people with disabilities. And I think that that's not fair. I think that they're both excellent role models for any human being. I look up to both of them personally as two people who have had an uphill battle their whole life. And while maybe at some points they have, at least they've grown to the point now in their life where they're not looking for anyone else to blame. They've embraced their situation and they're doing the best that they can. And they both seem to have wonderful support networks around them. Obviously, Crip's mom's beauty is well documented. But I respect them. I look up to both of them as a able-bodied person. So, why don't you guys, these people who are joke policing, why don't you just lay off Crip? He's hashtag OurCripple, and we'll all have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
I don't think sticking out your tongue drilling and eating cookies is helping the world, but it is making the world happy and laughing a lot.
And that's why he does what he does.